Hi, my name is Olivia with WRSU-FM, and I'm so excited to be here today with Sarah Kinsley. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to meet you.
Thank you so much for being here with me today. I was so excited when I got this opportunity. I had actually been to your show in New York City, so when I got
Oh,
this
no
opportunity, I was
way.
like, "Oh my gosh! Like, obviously, I
Yeah.
would want to do this. Are you kidding?"
Yeah.
Um,
Oh my God. That's so
yeah,
fun.
awesome show, so much fun.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
I'll ask you a little bit about that later. So first off, I wanted to start about this asking about the Cypress music video, just
Mm.
what the inspiration and the meanings were behind that. Because on the YouTube video, there's so many comments trying to break it down. Even on the TikToks promoting it,
Yeah.
people are like, "Oh my gosh, I cried to this video. Like, what does it mean?" So I would love to hear you talk
Yeah.
about that.
It was really funny because I I think at first um I worked with my friend Lux on it and we've collaborated many, many times. And we spent a long time like drafting this video and trying to create something that would be able to be deciphered and something, it's exciting when artists don't just give you something straight out. They want you to, kind of fend for the meaning. And we were trying to do something like that. And we were super, super inspired by this kind of like weird, kind of slightly distorted, midsummery Alice in Wonderland type video that presents this moment where I meet my past self or I introduce my current self to my past self in the video. It was really funny though. There's like a Twitter thread that I really should talk about more, but of someone, it's like an essay of analyzing the entire video, and it's like the coolest thing ever to read. But we did this video premiere of the music video, and it was so funny because it was like during Pride Month. So people were like, okay, Sarah, like, okay, Pride. And I was like, guys, this is supposed to be my younger self. Like,
Oh no!
and it was really funny. But we loved it. Like the comments were great. And it was so funny because there's a moment during the dialogue part of the video, like uh, in between the first and second half of the song, where me and my younger self were talking. And we're saying things like, do you know what the strongest card is? Or have you met him yet? And I remember during the premiere watching people saying like, why are you talking about him? Like, who is he? Like, it was really funny. So I get a lot of joy out of like listening and reading people's comments. But yeah, the video is like, it's one of my favorite things I've ever made outside of the sort of sonic elements of the EP because it's really just this very exciting kind of short film about if you had the ability to speak to your younger self, like what would you say? How much are they supposed to know? And it's kind of a haunting uh, way of playing into the future self me. The current self doesn't want my past self to know about the future yet, but I'm dying to know. And it's this very weird, like timeless place that exists where we happen to see each other, but in the sort of finale of the video, it's kind of revealed that she's been alone the entire time and has kind of hallucinated the entire thing. So that was super exciting for me because I got to explore a lot of these themes of, I was talking about time travel in The King, and I was talking about wanting to see you again. Is you me? Is you my past self, my future self? And um, getting to fully play out the metaphor of, what I'm saying in Cypress is like, is it all that you wanted? Is it all that you imagined? In this scenario of like imagining myself with myself, like, is everything that I've done or been able to do what I imagined? And that was a very cool way of kind of getting to visually show this metaphor. And I was really grateful to the entire team I worked with and Lux and um, Jalen Lee, who played like my younger self. It was very fun and also very fun to like for the both of us as like Asian American women to dress up in like Victorian dresses, which is kind of a newer concept that's becoming very part of like modern culture. But yeah, it was really fun.
Yeah, the video is beautiful, and
Thank you.
I mean, you should be proud of it, and it makes sense why it's one of your favorite things like you've ever put together.
Mm.
I am curious though, the Twitter thread that's analyzing it, is it accurate at all?
It's so accurate.
Oh,
It's
really?
really
Okay.
scary. I haven't shared it because I'm like, I don't think I want people to know exactly what I'm talking about, but I should. I mean, yeah, it's really cool. I probably will share it eventually, but it's like this whole thread about um like what each object means, like the phrases that I'm saying, the shots, the cinematography. It's so in depth that honestly, like when I was reading it, my head started pounding because I was like, how is this person such a genius? Like, how are they just like basically picking up exactly what we're talking about? It was very cool. But yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, I'm surprised, like not surprised that they got it, but they literally were in your head. I feel like people probably have a lot of incorrect takes on it, but that's what's like fun about art, I guess, is, your
No,
own
totally. Yeah, I don't think any take is incorrect per se. It's just somewhere definitely a bit farther from the original intention. But it's very it is as you're saying, like one of the coolest things about art is the different perspective. It's very cool how people mold the art to their lives and how they view it. So yeah.
Absolutely. And a little bit more on Cypress, but just like the EP in general, you say in Hills of Fire that you can't stay the king forever, which I kind of see maybe, like, since interpretations we're talking about, as kind of a shift from the King EP to the Cypress EP. So what really caused that shift, and how has your sound changed, in your opinion, since the King EP?
It's hard to articulate, I think, like why certain things happen, like why shifts happen. But I will say that I think after the King kind of happened, I really needed time to just figure out what it was I wanted to do, what I thought I was capable of. And I remember like being very MIA and like not really being on my phone, not wanting to read what people were saying or listen to what people had to comment on about music because it was just it was a lot. It was very terrifying at first. And Cypress, the whole thing was like I fell in love with cypress trees when I traveled back to California with my family, which is where I was born. And I think I love them so much because I was obsessed with the idea that they're kind of planted to surround like homes and the idea of hiding and looking through the trees. And I remember like as we were driving through, every time I would see cypress trees, I was just constantly wondering what was behind them. And it was very simple kind of analogy for what I was talking about, which was like saving myself behind my art. Because for a long time before the King, even, I kind of had this belief or this idea that art should be this massive self-sacrifice and it should be, pouring yourself out on the line and saying every thought you've ever had and just writing it down. But after the King, and especially throughout the process of Cypress, I kept coming back to this really, really firm idea of like being a tree or standing behind something and being able to have different parts of my lives where the music is one thing, but how I feel when I'm really saying can be its own thing. It can be private. It can exist on its own. It can have its own individual life that's not being analyzed or interpreted by other people. And that was the most refreshing thing. And it kind of, I think that definitely expressed itself musically for me too, because a lot of the production then became about like deceiving people and hiding sounds within the songs, like in Green, I spend like during the first verse, there's maybe like 60 or 70 sounds that aren't heard, but the verse is just made up of my voice and the guitar, but they're all just trickled through like it's a bunch of random sine tones or background vocals, or it's like layers of me whispering and I'm like reading quotes from papers I read in school, or like I think the line was like I'm growing out my hair again. Do you think I look different? And as soon as I say this, you just start hearing me whisper. But in all the whispers, I was just standing in my closet saying crazy things like, do you think I look different? Like, tell me I look different, all this stuff. And I just recorded like tons and tons of layers of that. But the production for me has just become about like, I can actually save a part of myself by putting these tiny elements through music, because for me, I know this and I know exactly where they are and I know exactly when I made them. And it becomes like a little hidden Easter egg for me, because it's like I am sacrificing these ideas and putting them out, but I'm also, they're so hidden and they're so discreet that it's like a fun kind of game to imagine that the music is made of all these things that are hard to hear. So that's definitely what's changed about the process too, is just experimenting with this and kind of having this more childish and exciting way of playing with music and molding it and shaping it in a way that's not so rigid and so structural. But yeah, it's been a really exciting thing to explore this time around.
That's really beautiful, and like I like how like you said it was simple, but it's, I mean, to me it doesn't sound simple. I guess like I don't like that just having all these hidden layers. I think that's awesome, and
Thank you.
I know, like you said, it was like hard to articulate the shift, but I think you absolutely said it beautifully. That's awesome.
Thank you.
I do want to shift a little bit, and if you want to talk about TikTok, maybe, just did you ever think it would help you get to this point as much as it has with some of your videos really blowing up?
Yeah, I think I, like a lot of other artists, have a funny relationship with TikTok in the sense that it's like this unmanageable beast that somehow picks out some of us and then disregards everything else. And it's surprising because I just kind of refused to use it at the beginning because I didn't understand what the point of it was. And a lot of examples that I'd seen about music were just like, you know, people making dances to TikToks or, you know, music becoming viral that way. And it was so surprising when it happened for The King and for that second EP because I just really was not expecting it. And more so than just the sheer force of like numbers, I wasn't expecting people to gravitate so much to the meaning of it, which is maybe kind of naive of me, but I really wasn't, I didn't understand the force of like the music is out and suddenly people are actually really digging to find the meat of the lyrics and people want to know what I'm talking about or who I'm talking about, or the music suddenly becomes bigger than me and the lyrics are not just what I'm talking about or what I am, you know, going through in my life, but it can become anything. It's ambiguous enough to guide anyone through what they're going through, or it's, you know, universal enough to exist outside of me. So I was really shocked by that because I just didn't think that that was really possible through social media, especially after the pandemic, because it was like, well, live music is dead. Where do we go from here? You know, how can we ever experience music in a similar way again? And I was so surprised by TikTok and the way that people really do genuinely care about music and artists. But it's definitely changed since I put out The King. But yeah, to answer your question, I wasn't expecting it at all, and it was a real shock.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think anyone would really expect that, but that's awesome. And also, I think kind of TikTok maybe helping you propel you get to where you are now kind of relates to how you were on your first headlining tour, which is really awesome. And I was at that show and it was amazing. And at the show you had mentioned like that your parents were there, and you also I think said that your professor was there too.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to come so like full circle with like your family and your professor literally coming to see you? Like you kind of almost traded places, you know, like how does that feel?
Traded places. No, I think I'm definitely still learning from, you know, my family and teachers, all that. It was crazy because my guitarist in my band, Day and Milo, we went to school together, and we are both in this professor's class. And that's not exactly how we met, but we both took the class together after we'd met. And it was so weird because I didn't know that he was coming to the show until like 2 days before. And it was awesome when we like walk on during Karma, when Jane, who plays synth in my band, she plays those opening chords, and it's magic. But in New York, that was like, it was the most divine we've ever done it, because at all the shows it's so exciting because all of a sudden, you know, the music stops and then she plays this intro and we come on stage and it's like a burst of lightning or something. It's just crazy. And in New York, it was so full circle and like so really just so lovely because I saw my parents immediately, even through the dark, because I knew they're going to be up there. And I just really had to like pinch myself and try not to cry because I was just getting so emotional thinking about like, you know, my parents literally took me to the studio to work on The King. They waited at like a dive bar for me to finish recording because I wasn't living in New York at the time and I just came in, you know. So they were just there for like 2 days for these like 10-hour sessions straight, just standing there when it was like pouring and we're working on the song. Or, you know, they took me to all of these lessons that I had growing up. So it was so weird to have this unspoken thing of like I promise you that this all of the stuff we did when I was younger, or everything that you know they've given me is gonna amount to something, that it's gonna be something. And the same with my professor, that the things that I've learned, there's so much more than just, you know, curriculum. It's so much more than just like, you know, things we talk about. So it was such an honor, and I felt very proud just to be able to perform all that music and to have such a wonderful night with people I love.
Absolutely, and you should be proud, and I can't even imagine how proud they were of you. I was up on that balcony, so when you pointed to your, like, family, I remember looking
Oh,
seeing your family, I was like, "Oh my gosh," like, that's, like so it was
yeah.
so I think, like, the audience and stuff too could just, like, feel that love, absolutely,
Yeah.
and it was a great show, and it's been such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for being here with me today. You have such a way of explaining things, and it's
Oh, thank
really
you.
awesome. You, like, totally, like, answered the questions and exceeded, like, everything. Like, I don't know, just
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
Yeah.
This was a great experience, a great interview.
Oh, thank
It
you.
was
Thank you so much for
awesome.
having me.
Oh my god, of course, it was awesome listening to you speak. So thank you so much, and for everyone watching, I hope you enjoyed. Definitely check out the Cypress EP. Definitely find Sarah on Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, any social media or music streaming platform. If there's anything you'd specifically like to say or plug, feel free.
You've
Um,
covered it all. Thank you.
okay, awesome. Thank you so much.